Aileen Wuornos came into the world on a freezing February morning in 1956, in a small Michigan town where winters bit hard and people kept to themselves. She didn't arrive into a warm family home or a steady pair of hands. Her life started in chaos long before she was old enough to understand it. Her mother was barely more than a kid herself. Her father wasn't around, locked away, drifting in and out of places most people spend their lives trying to avoid. Aileen and her brother Keith were left with grandparents who felt more like wardens than caretakers. The house they grew up in wasn't the kind where birthdays were celebrated or bedtime stories were read. It was the kind of home where voices rose too fast, tempers snapped too easily, and comfort was a rare visitor. From a young age, Aileen learned that the safest place in the house was outside of it. She spent long hours wandering the woods behind the property, lighting small fires, throwing stones at trees, sitting alone by frozen ponds trying to keep warm. She wasn't escaping boredom. She was escaping the feeling that she didn't belong anywhere. School didn't give her much relief either. The other kids saw her rough clothes, her short fuse, the way she flinched at loud noises. They mocked her, pushed her, whispered about her. She got into fights, not because she wanted trouble, but because it was the only way she knew to defend herself. Every year she seemed a little more detached, a little more wild, as if she was building armor without realizing it. By the time she reached her early teens, the tension at home cracked completely. Arguments became explosions. Aileen started spending nights away, in abandoned cars, makeshift camps in the woods, anywhere she felt she could breathe without being shouted at. She was barely a teenager, but already living like someone twice her age. Money, of course, was a problem. She had none. No safety net. No adult she trusted. And surviving meant figuring out ways to eat, to keep warm, to get by. That's when she slipped into a way of life that left her exposed, vulnerable, and constantly at risk. She would meet men by the roadside, offering whatever she could in exchange for enough cash to make it through the night. It wasn't a choice. It was a last resort. The kind of survival strategy that leaves scars no one can see. And this became her world. Drifting through nights, hitching rides, meeting strangers, taking chances. She learned quickly how dangerous people could be, how fast a situation could turn, how fear feels when you can't call for help. It wasn't long before she stopped expecting kindness from anyone. She moved through the world braced for the worst, quick to defend herself, quicker to run. The lines between threat and safety blurred. Every encounter felt unpredictable. Every man she met felt like someone who could hurt her. As she drifted down to Florida in her 20s, her life had become a constant loop. Motels, bars, long stretches of highway, strangers' passenger seats, and those roadside encounters that paid just enough to keep her moving. She survived on instinct, sharp, twitchy, always ready. And beneath it all, a lifetime of anger and fear simmered, untouched, unprocessed, waiting for something to set it off. By the time she met Tyria Moore, the first person she truly attached herself to, Aileen was already shaped by decades of abandonment, violence, and survival at any cost. Loving someone didn't soften her edges, it only added pressure. Because now she needed money not just for herself, but for them both. And she had nothing left but the only way of earning she'd known for years. That's where the slow, quiet slope of her life finally tipped. Where desperation met danger, where fear collided with violence, and where the story everyone knows truly begins. Aileen's world tightened fast once money ran out. The pressure kept building night after night until something finally snapped. She'd been hustling for years, drifting through bars, truck stops, and lonely stretches of highway. But now she wasn't just doing it to survive. She was doing it because she felt trapped. Every bad night meant letting Tyria down. Every empty pocket felt like another failure. And somewhere inside all that strain, something in Aileen shifted into survival mode with no brakes left. It started on those quiet back roads in Florida, The places where people slowed down not because they wanted company, but because they knew no one else was watching. Aileen met them the same way she always had, through rolled-down windows, awkward small talk, and the hollow promises of quick cash. But she was different now. Harder, tenser, more afraid of what she might lose than what might happen out there. The first killing didn't explode suddenly, it crept in. Aileen later claimed she felt threatened, that she panicked, that something inside her took over in the moment. Whether that was fear, anger, or something darker, no one can truly say. What is clear is that once that line was crossed, she couldn't uncross it. The gun in her hand became the one thing in her world that gave her a sense of control. Control she had never had growing up, never had at home, never had with men on those lonely roads. After the first shooting, Aileen didn't run. Not in the way most people imagine. She simply kept moving, drifting from motel to motel with Tyria, paying for rooms with whatever she'd taken from the scene. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't clever.
How much for this?
It was desperate. She used her victims' belongings out in the open, driving their cars, pawning their tools, spending their cash, leaving a trail for detectives to follow long before she realized the walls were closing in. Over the next year, the pattern repeated. Hitchhiking, roadside deals, men who thought they were picking up someone vulnerable. Aileen's story shifted each time. Sometimes she said she acted in self-defense. Sometimes the details changed. But the outcome was always the same. Another man gone. Another set of belongings pocketed. Another motel room paid for. And Tyria, always there, never asking too many questions, always needing the money but never wanting the details. Detectives across several counties began seeing the same things. Abandoned cars, missing men, pawned items with the same signatures. Different towns, same pattern. They didn't know her name yet, but they knew they were looking for a woman. A hitchhiker who drifted through bars and motels, someone who vanished right after each man did. It didn't take long for them to narrow it down. By late 1990, Aileen and Tyria were staying in cheap motels, burning through cash faster than they could get it, and the police were right behind them. When one of the stolen cars crashed near a bar, witnesses saw Aileen stumbling away from the scene, looking rough, panicked, and out of breath. That was the moment detectives finally had a face to match the rumors. She didn't know it, but her time on the road was running out. The pressure she'd been living under for years had pushed her into a corner she wasn't going to escape. And once Tyria got frightened enough to step back, the world Aileen had built, the fragile, desperate one, started collapsing fast. That's where the hunt for her truly began. After months of drifting through motels, pawn shops, and lonely highways, Aileen's world finally closed in on her. It didn't happen in a dramatic chase, it happened quietly, inside a rough biker bar in Port Orange. Detectives had already followed her trail through car sightings, motel receipts, and pawn shop slips. And when she and Tyria crashed that car and walked away from it, leaving fingerprints and items behind, investigators finally had everything they needed. Tyria panicked first. She left Florida and ended up in Pennsylvania, scared of getting dragged any deeper. When detectives reached her, they offered a deal, full immunity if she helped them. She agreed. For days, she made recorded phone calls telling Aileen she was scared, that she needed the truth, that the police were pressuring her. Aileen folded under that emotional weight. She didn't confess to detectives. She confessed to Tyria, and that was enough. Police moved in fast. Aileen was arrested outside the Last Resort biker bar. She didn't run. She didn't fight. She simply walked out to the car park and was taken in. At first, she said every killing was self-defense, that she felt threatened every single time. But the evidence piled up. Over 1 year, 7 men had vanished after picking up a hitchhiker who looked exactly like her. Their abandoned cars, their belongings, the repeating pattern. It all pointed back at Aileen. The trial dragged her into national headlines. Angry outbursts, shifting explanations, interviews that made the case even stranger. But the verdict stayed the same. guilty. She was sentenced to death, and after years of appeals, she was executed in 2002. Tyria never faced charges. Her immunity deal held. She faded into a quiet life far from Florida and has avoided the spotlight ever since. So hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And if there's any case you want me to cover next, drop it in the comments and I'll check it out.